All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Power Hour with Dave Kaufman, and I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you're tuned in, and we've got quite a few people coming on today, and we're going to be learning some really cool stuff. 10 ways to overcome stress and become a mature business leader. That's what we're going to be talking about today. 10 ways to overcome stress and become a mature business leader. So, how many of you, I know I can't really see you raise your hand or hear you talk right now, but how many of you would say that your business is absolutely stress-free? Is there anybody out there that your business is stress-free? I've never met a business owner that says their business is stress-free. There's different levels of stress in business. Obviously, we all know that. My job, my business helps business owners put things into place so where there is not a lot of stress. So yeah, that's what we really try to do, is to help people reduce stress and become a better leader. John Maxwell, the number one leadership trainer in the country, probably the world, basically he says this: everything rises and falls on leadership. And so if you can reduce your stress by becoming a better leader and helping your people to become a better leader, you're going to have a much better working culture, which will reduce turnover. It'll increase profits. And just everything works better when you have a really good leadership program in your business. So I'm going to give you 10 ways to overcome stress. We're going to jump right in. And thanks everybody for hopping on the call. We have people on Facebook, YouTube, and also the phone calls are pretty busy today as well. So 10 ways to overcome stress and become a mature business leader. I got my cheat sheet here. I'm going to be reading a lot today. So how to stay cool under pressure and still be a top performer and maintain your own health. I've seen so many business owners wreck their own health by trying to become successful in business. They don't take care of themselves. So we're going to be talking about ways that you can stay cool under pressure, still be a top performer. Because if I know you want to be a top performer. You want to perform very highly at whatever you do. The Bible says, whatever you find your hands find it to do it with as unto the Lord, or with your whole being. And that's the Dave Kaufman version of that verse. So one of the most valuable attributes of a good business professional and leader is to be able to control emotional outbursts. Okay, so what are emotional outbursts? That means controlling your emotions. Don't fly off the handle. I've worked with companies in the past where, and I'm not going to mention names, but I've worked with companies in the past where the leadership was so violent that employees, they didn't even want to stay around. It was where customers started leaving. And it was because the leadership, the business owner, could not control his emotion, would fly off the handle, was creating a havoc in the company. So that's number one, to be able to control emotional outbursts, maximize credibility and respect, and maintain your own health. When I fly commercially, which I'm going to fly to Ohio tomorrow commercially because my plane is still not out of the annual maintenance. They found another issue with the landing gear. Anyway, long story. I'm kind of over it right now. But when I fly tomorrow, they're going to tell me across the intercom, as I'm sitting in the seat, they're going to say, if an emergency should happen and the oxygen mask drop down, help yourself, put the mask on yourself before you put it on somebody else. And I remember the first time that I was flying, that I remembered flying and thinking, the old lady beside me, no, I'm going to help her first. Well, you can't. If you're dead, if you can't breathe, If you can't survive whatever's happening, you can't help anybody else. So it's super important that we maintain our own health. I'm not going to get into health practices or vitamins or stuff like that. That's not me. But I'm saying you have a responsibility to yourself to keep yourself healthy, because our body is the temple of God. And our body is what carries what God gave us, the ability to create. It's our demeanor, it's our personality. And God, I think, spent a lot of time on your body, and we should respect that and take care of it so that we can actually help other people. That's the objective of this talk. The best of you train yourselves to show emotion sparingly and strategically. So we're actually trained by our parents. We're actually, trained by society to control ourselves, to show emotion sparingly and strategically, while the rest are convinced that emotions cannot be controlled and are function of culture and genetics. So I think it's good if we can learn how to control ourselves. And I think it's important that when we are upset, that we are upset. We show that emotion appropriately, not out of control, but under control. It's the difference between responding and reacting. We don't want to react. We want to respond. So based on my own many years as a business executive and advisor, I've seen many professionals mature from hotheads to people who are cool and calm. I could tell you so many stories of the business owners that I've worked with that have made that change in being able to control their actions and make it into a response rather than a reaction. So it's possible to control your actions for sure, and I want that for each one of us. So becoming better leaders and decision makers in the process. So with some coaching and mentoring from other leaders, I was able to do it myself. So, if I can do it, you can too. And I on my wall over here, I have what I call the wall of gratitude. The people that have mentored me and spoken into my life in some way or another in a significant way and have helped shape who I am today. And it's going to change tomorrow. It's going to change. Like I'm going to change. I'm going to be always learning and growing from people. And I want to continually add people to that wall. So you need to understand that I went through a lot of things. That I remember when I reacted to situations in my business, instead of responding. And I remember the damage. I think if we're all married, you can probably think of a time that you reacted instead of responding to your spouse. And you can probably remember some hurt looks on your spouse's face, or when your spouse maybe reacted to you in a wrong way and how it made you feel. So we all have this to deal with, to understand, and to work through. So here are the 10 ways to help overcome reacting and helping you to mature into a business leader. Number one, train yourself to always look for positives, not negatives. Now I could preach a sermon right here on just that one. Here's the deal. I have made a decision to remove myself from the surroundings of negative people. So if I'm in a group at a networking event or at a conference, and I'm in a group of people and it's starting to go negative, I have trained myself to move away, go to a different group. I don't need more negativity in my life. And I start looking for positive. And I want you to start listening to your conversations, to your thoughts, to what you say about yourself. I want you to start thinking. I want you to start thinking about what you say. I have a client that he's in the habit of like saying negative things about himself, and I was in the same way. You probably heard me tell the story about Lisa Marie Hines, who put her finger in my face and said, "Don't you ever say that again." And I said, "Say what?" And I had said earlier in a conversation that I'm not good at math. Okay. And she said, "Don't ever say that again." And I said, "Well, I don't want to lie." She said, "You don't have to. Tell yourself a different story. Say you're becoming better at math." And so I started saying that. And here's what happens when you say that you're not good at math, when you say you're not good at leading people, when you say you're not good at speaking, when you say you're not good at singing, when you say you're not good at something, your brain says, "Okay." And it shuts down. It says, "I'm not even going to try then." Your brain literally like listens to what you say. So when you say, "I'm getting better at math," or "I'm learning to enjoy math," your brain hears that and it says, "Oh, okay, so I have to get better at math." Your brain believes what your mouth says, and after a while, your brain will start dictating what your mouth says. The reason you say negative things about yourself is because you think negative things about yourself. So we have to break that cycle, and we have to start looking for the positives. One of my mentors, Ron Klein, he's on the wall here. He invented the magnetic strip on the credit card. A lot of you maybe have met him because he's spoken at some of my events. He was one of my coaches that coached a lot of my clients for me. He would say, "There's a gift behind every challenge." Okay, so a challenge is a negative thing, right? But there's a gift behind it. Look for that gift. Find the positives even in a negative world. I love the idea, and I can't remember which book I read this from, but this is kind of getting into more of a spiritual aspect. But, everywhere you look, you can see the fingerprints of sin all over the world. Weeds. You can see right now Iran is attacking Israel. It's like a full out war among Iran and Israel right now. It just started today. You can see the, sin, the fingerprints of sin is all over the world. But I promise you, if you look closely, you'll see the fingerprints of God was there first. God's fingerprints is all over this world. And so it's up to you what you look at, what you look for. And so you have to train yourself to always look for positive, not negatives. Optimistic business leaders see value in every new business challenge rather than stress and risk. You must recognize that change is the norm in business. One of my good friends, Luke Kipfer, we talk a lot together on leadership strategies and summits all across the country. And we're coming to a city near you in 2025 with our leadership summits. And we want to see you there for sure. But he talks about the sigmoid curve, and change is inevitable. Things actually change all the time. The leaves change. The weather changes. You change clothes every day, hopefully. All right. So there's change happening all the time. Change is a good thing. If it wouldn't change, we'd have summer all year. If it wouldn't change, we would still be pushing carts around instead of having cars and all of the things that we enjoy. Change is a good thing, and we need to learn how to embrace it. You must recognize that change is the norm in business, so problems represent opportunities to learn something new and improve your productivity and the competitiveness of the business. So try to learn something new every day and then learn how to apply that new knowledge that you have and train yourselves to look for the positives, not the negatives. Number 2, write down your top 5 core values and review them often. Now, if I could see you and your live audience, I would ask you, how many of you have core values that you have written down, 5, 10, 15 core values in your business? I would suppose hardly any of you do. If you do, put them in the chat. I'd love to see your core values. So I know companies that we've worked with, we help install core values and vision and mission and purpose statements. And you know, there's one company that I'm thinking of that one of their core values is fun. We got to have fun. We have to enjoy working here. We have to, not silly, not careless, but just have fun. Have fun. Fun is a core value. Integrity would be a core value. Professionalism would be an idea. So I'd really be interested in hearing from you guys at some point. Just put it in the chat or save it for the question and answers at the end if we have enough time. I'd love to hear your core values, or one word that you live by. And so write down your top 5 core values and review them often. Pressure and emotion in business is often an indication of core value conflicts. So what I'm saying there is, when you have pressure, when you have, challenges in your business, that means that there is something coming against what is your path. It's what your value is. And so, when a customer is dissatisfied, quality, it might be what that is conflicting with, if quality is your core value. All right. So Angie Dunn Riley says faith is one of her core values. I appreciate that very much. So write them down. And once you see and understand the conflict, it's easier to make a decision, respond rationally, or simply remove yourself from the role. Don't try to be someone you aren't and be everything to everyone. One of my other mentors who's on the wall here says, if you try to be everything to everyone, you're going to be insignificant to a whole lot of people. That's Howard Partridge. Number 3, create a short to-do list at the end of each day for tomorrow. And I've taught this several times. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but when you create a list, or if you're overwhelmed, you have a lot of stuff to do, before you go to sleep, the last thing that you should do before you go to sleep is to write down the things that you need to do tomorrow, and then prioritize them 1 through whatever, however many duties you have. What happens, your subconscious mind, this is the back part of your brain, will start working on those issues while you sleep. Your subconscious mind is what you use. It's the front part of your brain. And that's what you use when you're working on something, you're taking something apart and you're diligently studying it or looking at it or working on it. But your subconscious mind is much more powerful than your conscious mind. There's times that I'm driving and I don't remember that I even turned my blinker on, but I know I did because it just comes natural. That's your subconscious. It's kind of like your autopilot. Your subconscious mind is there to help you. And so let it help you while you sleep, because your subconscious mind never sleeps. You're always processing in the back of your mind, even while you sleep. So a mind overload with a large and growing list of critical items is not efficient and will always be prone to burnout or emotional outburst. You can always tell when somebody has a lot of stress is because of how they react and respond to situations happening. When there's bad news, they fly off the handle, and it's a sure sign that they are overwhelmed, that they haven't been able to process their functions in the way that they should. So you want to be able to create a short to-do list at the end of each day. Number 4, practice delegation and decline unreasonable requests. Learn to say no. Learn to say, here, I need you to do this. I remember me telling some of my staff that I said, if I do this, I don't need you. I'm not going to do your job. So I'm going to give it to you because I need you. Okay. So practice delegation and learn to say no. Learn how to courteously turn back requests outside your realm of responsibility and recommend others who may be more qualified. So if you call me and you say, hey, I want you to coach me and I want you to coach me in my finances, I'm going to say, you know what? I would love to work with you. I think you're a great person, but I am not your person for that. That is not something that's not my lane. That's not what I excel at. I excel at leadership, sales, marketing, and people management. I'm going to refer you to somebody else, to another company, to my buddy that I refer people to. And so you want to make sure that you stay in your lanes, basically stay in your strength zone. Don't play in your weak zone. You have your strengths for a reason. Use them. Number 5, this is big, never schedule more than 80% of your time. I look at some of y'all and I business owners that I work with, and they are just scheduled right down to, 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It's scheduled. Sometimes I feel like my life is that way, but I always schedule no more than 80% of my work time. Okay. And the reason is you have to be able to breathe. If your core value is fun and you're working 90 or 100% of the time, you're not having fun. You're not enjoying life. Life was meant to be enjoyed, and I want you to enjoy it in a wholesome way. So never schedule more than 80% of your time. Number 6, put more focus on building the right relationships. The right relationships. I'm looking for a book. Where is it? I'm looking on my bookshelf over here. I don't see it. I know it's there, but I don't see it. But it's called The Power of Who, and it's by my friend Bob Beaudine. If you can find that book, order it. The Power of Who. And he's the guy that told me I already know who I need to know in order to be uber successful in life. Okay. And what that means is I don't really need to go out and learn to know new people. It doesn't mean I can't, but what would happen if I would invest into a deeper relationship with the people that I already know? What would happen if I would go deep with them and then they would start opening up to me the people that they know? Because I know for a fact, somebody just recently asked, they knew that I knew Myron Golden, who is one of my mentors on the wall. And he knows that I know him. And he said, hey, he texted me and said, hey, could you give me his number? And I said no, because I don't know this person good enough or deep enough to know what his intentions is for calling a very busy mentor of mine. Besides, he asked me not to give his personal cell phone out to anybody. So if I know you and if I get to have that right relationship with you, I'm going to say, you know what, you really need to connect with my friend Myron, and I would connect you by phone call and introduce you to him. But what I'm saying is go deep with the right people, build a deep, meaningful relationship with the right people. Don't spread yourself thin when it comes to relationships. We've heard the term you can't have too many friends. Well, I kind of believe you can. I kind of believe that you can have too many friends. You need to go deep with a few so that you can impact the many. That's a quote by Luke Kipfer. All right. Number 7, define a clear break between work and private activities. I'll tell you what I do. If you call me or my office phone number before 8 o'clock in the morning, you will not get an answer. If you call me after 5 o'clock, you will not get an answer. That's what voicemail is for. Here's my thought. Before 8, that's mine, God's, and my wife's time. That's family time. That's when I connect with God, before 8 o'clock. Okay. After 5 o'clock, it's again my wife, my friends, God, swimming, relaxing, having fun. Okay. So I make a clear separation. And I know a lot of business coaches and gurus out there that are billionaires and millionaires, they say Donald Trump doesn't sleep. He sleeps maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. Well, yeah, you can get a lot more done. You certainly can, but at what cost? What is more important? Is your family not important enough that you can't set time aside for them and play with them, work with them, have fun with them? And so you have to have your priorities right. And so define a clear break between work and private activities. I'm going to give you some ideas. Practice I put the word ritual down, but it's such as a cup of coffee with a peer, okay, with a coworker or something, to define your workday beginning. So something that, we like to do here at the office, there's 4 or 5 guys that have offices in the same room or building that I have. And we like to just have a little meeting, talk about how their weekend was or what they did the night before, and just connect. Okay. And that's the beginning of the workday. And maybe tea or coffee with your spouse to reset back to family time. So do something that indicates that I'm now in work mode and now I'm in family mode or off work mode. There's more that I could say, but I want to make sure that we get off of here in time. So define a clear break between work and private activities. Number 8, never use emotion as a substitute for preparation. Effective business professionals always prepare for tough issues and key meetings by doing their own research and getting early counsel from experts and coaches. Not only do they do their homework, but they prepare mentally and physically to be at their best rather than on the edge. So if you're worked up about something, if you're passionate about something, that would be emotions. Don't let your passion substitute for preparation. You have to prepare. For this talk, I was preparing this morning already for this talk. I was thinking last night about this talk, and I printed this thing out and made some changes to what I wanted because I was preparing for this talk. All right. Number 9, take satisfaction from wins to balance against losses. Okay. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days in business. You're going to have yeses in sales and you're going to have no's in sales. You're going to have disappointments in family and you're going to have some great family time. That's life. Pro and con. You're going to have yeses and no's. You're going to have good and bad. You're going to have all kinds of opposites going on. So take satisfaction from the wins. Okay. Because a lot of times we focus on the negatives. There is so much to be grateful for. So much. I'm reminded of that scripture. Don't Don't be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Be grateful. And it says, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind. Okay, so we can't dwell on negativity. We have to focus on positivity. And so when you start thinking about that, when you start thinking and switching over from wins to losses and celebrating your wins as a team, as a family, as a business owner, as a business team, celebrate your wins to balance it out. No one in business wins every battle. So frustration on any issue needs to be offset by other wins and achieve incremental thresholds along the way. In other words, love yourself enough to celebrate the good days. And I can tell you this, if you look for good things to focus on, you will find more good things to focus on. If you start focusing on negative things, you're going to find negative things to focus on. So it's all about mindset. You know, if you are on a train, I've seen this, it's kind of a comic or like a cartoon. It's a train that's on a mountainside. So there's one guy is sitting looking at the mountain, which there's nothing to look at because it's right there on the mountain and it's dark and gloomy and he's all depressed. The other guy on the other side is looking out the other way of the train, which is a big valley, and he can see the mountains on the other side, and he's happy and the sun's shining in his face and he's just having the best day of his life. They're both on the same train. It's all in what you focus on. So you got to take satisfaction from the wins and focus on positivity. Number 10, the last one, maintain at least one non-work passion for energy balance. If I ask you, what is your hobby? I like asking business leaders this. I mean, I work with companies that are, from startup all the way to, $1 billion company. We have clients that are, $1 billion in sales, and very few of them have hobbies. You need a hobby. You need to be passionate about something other than your work. Your work is not your purpose. You were not created to do that job or to that business. That business is there to help you find your purpose. And so find a hobby, find something that you're passionate about. For me, you're going to laugh at this, but I love orchids, the plants, the flowers. I love orchids. I have 40, 50 of them in my backyard. And so that's a passion of mine. I work on them almost every day after work. I go back and I water them and I prune them, and I'm looking for problems, and I'm spraying them for insects. And I love when they start blooming. Right now I got one that's going to be beautiful. Follow me on Facebook and I'll show you some pictures. But you have to have a non-work passion. Flying would be another passion that I have. I love flying. So everyone needs to focus outside of work, such as a hobby, exercise, or sports, or whatever it is, something that gets your mind off of the work. And so again, we're talking about 10 ways to reduce stress and help you to become a better leader. So don't let anyone tell you that what you can accomplish is limited by your culture or old habits, because you can change your culture. You can change your habits. You can change the way you think. So there are no limits. The only limits that you have are the ones that you believe. Everyone has the ability to control their own actions and emotions, which I find to be the keys to success in most business roles. I encourage you to learn and practice the strategies outlined that I gave you here. Minimize stress and enjoy the journey as well as the destination. You have to enjoy life. I want you to enjoy life. I want you to have fun. I want people to say at your funeral that you were a person that enjoyed this time on this earth. And I can't imagine what he or she is experiencing now when you're in heaven. That's what I want. I want you to experience a great life. I want you to be successful. I want you to be full of life, full of joy, and make a difference in every person that you come in contact with, because that could very well be the reason you were created. Thank you. God bless you. I'd love to open it up if you have any questions or comments or anything. We're not going to wait long, but I also know that there's a lot of people that are on the phone calls and might want to schedule a strategy call with me. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take down this number, and it's on the screen right now. A free strategy call with me by calling this number, 813-580-8920. 813-580-8920. So who has my first question or comment? If you do, come on mute, or if you want to type it in onto your the chat, you're welcome to do that. Thank you, Angie Dunn Riley. God bless you too. I appreciate you listening. So who has my first question?
I'm coming through clear, Dave?
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah, this is Matt Brubaker.
Yes, sir.
Before. I got a question. You said that when you 5 o'clock, you clock out. So if you're building a business and it's in the early stage, should you put in more time then? Because it seems I can put in time around the clock.
Yeah, when you're starting a company, it seems like you're everything to everybody. If it's an analogy of a restaurant, you're the cook, you're the dishwasher, you're the server, you're the recipe person. I can tell you this: the reason that business owners work way too much in their business is because it wasn't set up properly in the beginning. That they didn't have the proper systems, the proper funding even. And so, yeah, there are going to be times that you have to do things that you don't want to do at a time that you don't want to do it at. Even today, I'm going to be speaking to a large group tonight at 7 o'clock on Zoom. It was the only time that it worked for them to get everybody of their people together. So there's going to be times that you have to, tell your family, I'm sorry, I have to work. So you have to be flexible, but there are things that you can do early on in the business that will minimize that. And so that's a whole other conversation, but that's something that can be minimized if you learn how to set up a business with systems where the systems operate instead of you having to be the person that is the system. Does that make sense, Matt?
Yes, it does. I did have another question.
Sure.
When you write down the business plan, ask for a purpose. So what is the difference between a purpose and a mission?
Okay, yeah. So your mission is what you do. It's a statement that defines what you do. So for instance, my mission statement for my cleaning company, well, let's go with the coaching company, this company here, is to help business owners. This is what I do. I help business owners find freedom in their business so they can spend more time with their family and friends. That's my mission statement. That's what I do. It's a statement that says what I do. My purpose is a statement that says why I do it. Okay. And so my purpose statement for this company is to help business owners achieve a level of success to the point of significance. I want them to be able to be significant, first of all, get to the level of success. I want them to be successful so that they have time to start reaching back and helping other people. And that is what makes a person significant, is when you help other people up. And so I want all the people that I work with that hire me as a business coach, I want them to be significant in the eyes of the people that they come in contact with. And they can't do that if they don't have success. So that's my purpose. That's why I do what I do. And then a vision, a vision is where you want to end up. And that's a whole other talk, but I always tell my clients that your vision should be 5 feet from crazy. If it's realistic, make it a goal. If your vision is realistic, it should be a goal, but your vision is not realistic. It should be inspiring. It should be 5 feet from crazy. In other words, I don't want people to say, yeah, whatever. I want people to say, wow, okay, wow, I see what you're trying to do by your vision. So it's a fine line between crazy and inspiring, but we usually craft a message where, we straddle that line pretty good. Thank you, Matt, for that question.
Yes.
Is there any other questions? Matt, do you have any other questions?
That was pretty much it for this time. I do want to say thank you for taking the time to do this conference call, and I was blessed by it every time I listened into it. So thank you, and I hope to hear you next Tuesday.
Awesome. Is there anybody else? Thank you, Matt. Is there anybody else that has a question or a comment? If you'd like to share, come off mute or type it into the chat box. I'm not going to wait long. All right, so we're going to go ahead and finish the call. Thank you all for coming on. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week. Thank you much.